Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Apprehensive Ear 3472 and it says, found out my 27 female husband 26 male has secretly spent all of our savings. Don't know if I can trust him anymore. My husband, 26 male, and I, 27 female, have been married for almost 2 years. Tonight, we had the worst fight we've ever had, and I'm seriously considering spending some time apart. We're both hardworking and make pretty good money, especially for our age. We paid for our wedding ourselves, and 4 years ago, we bought and renovated our own home. Money has never really been an issue in our relationship, until recently. One of the reasons we've done so well is because we've always been diligent about saving. When we were aggressively saving for our wedding and home, we put away 30% of every paycheck. After the wedding, we agreed to a more manageable 20% savings rate to build up our emergency fund and plan for the future kids, a new house, a new car, etc. I've stuck to that commitment. In fact, when my husband's car died unexpectedly, I covered the full cost of a replacement without needing a car payment. When our HVAC system failed, I paid for that too. Despite these big expenses, I've still managed to keep my savings and have a solid emergency fund. Tonight, I found out my husband has saved nothing. We've always had a system. His steady paycheck covers our monthly bills, and since I freelance, my income goes towards bigger expenses like student loan payments and unexpected costs. This worked well, or so I thought. When I asked him why he hasn't saved anything, his excuse was that he's always paying off the credit card, which for the record only he uses. I went through our budget and based on his income, he should have at least $3,000 left over every month after covering expenses. So I asked, where is that money going? He had no answer. So I checked his statements, and what I found was infuriating. Nothing that suggests cheating, gambling, or anything extreme, but reckless, obscene spending. We've had serious conversations about his spending before, and almost a year ago, I made it very clear that he needed to stick to our financial plan. Not only did he break that promise, but he's also somehow spent more than he earns, dipping into our savings. I'm ambitious and goal-driven. I dream big, and we've always talked about our future, where we see ourselves in 5 or 10 years. He's been especially eager to start trying for a baby. And while I've been on the fence, I recently came around to the idea. Until tonight, when I realized we almost have no savings. Now, the timeline for having a child, delayed. The plan to move out of town we both hate, out the window. I feel completely blindsided and betrayed. He's made multiple promises he hasn't kept, and when I confronted him, the solution was to put half of his yearly bonus into savings. Even though we already agreed that bonus would go towards paying off his massive student loans. At this point, I don't feel disappointed. I feel disrespected. I don't understand why he went behind my back like this or why he thought I wouldn't notice. I've lost so much trust in him, and I don't know how to move forward from here. Would time apart help? Can trust even be rebuilt after something like this? I'm at a complete loss. So, in the comments on this one, Bohemian Attitude says, it's hard to respond given you haven't said what he's been blowing thousands on every month without that being noticeable to you. Something's weird about this story. Opie said, honestly, it doesn't completely make sense to me either. When I went through the statements, it was just tons of random purchases. Tech, eating out, ordering lunch for work almost every day. Spotting his siblings' money for things, impulse buy, Costco trips that added up to way more than I realized, and just general mindless spending. Nothing huge on its own, but over time, it drained everything. I trusted that he was sticking to our agreement, so I wasn't monitoring it closely, which is why this all hit me so hard. Wayward Historian replies to that comment saying, reading what you wrote, something you said stood out to me, and then says, one of the reasons we've done so well is because we've always been diligent about saving. When we were aggressively saving for our wedding and home, we put away 30% of every paycheck. And then says, when I compare those statements to everything else you've written, it seems you should have been using I rather than we while writing. You and your husband are not on the same page financially. Financial issues are the number one cause of divorce for a reason that you're currently discovering. This is a big deal, and there are no simple solutions if you want to remain married to this guy. If you take time apart from your husband, it would really be for you to give yourself some space to think and weigh your options. I see couples counseling, a possible financial literacy course, be aware of the investment/quick rich ones, and a long hard think about if you want to remain in this marriage as the most likely options. Because you are closer to the situation, it's highly likely that if you take a breather for yourself, you will think of other options. Bare minimum, start thinking in terms of getting yourself out of the town you hate and not relying on your husband to help you with your goals. If he grows up enough to actually help, then it's a bonus. So Opie comes in to add an update and says, I wanted to come back and give an update since a lot of people had strong opinions about this. First off, my husband is not some reckless mooch, and this isn't a case of me supporting him while he blows through money. He actually covers most of our monthly bills, while I handle the bigger but less frequent expenses like quarterly and annual payments. That setup works for us since my income isn't the same every month. He's also an incredibly generous person. He loves picking up the tab for friends, buying gifts just to make people smile, and always putting others first. That generosity is one of the things I love most about him. But when you aren't keeping track, it adds up fast. And for those assuming I don't make real money because I run my own business and do freelance work, this is my first year going full-time instead of working 9 to 5 and then grinding on my business at night. I wouldn't have had the courage to do that without him. I never would have made the leap if I didn't have a partner with a steady paycheck, even though my business has been doing really well. That said, I know I failed as a partner too. He wasn't upfront with me when he started struggling to pay off his credit cards. And while he absolutely should have told me, I should have checked him more too. I thought he was spending the way he was because he was still able to while keeping up with our savings. Instead, he was dipping into our savings to cover his credit cards instead of telling me. He tried to handle it himself. He knows that's not okay, but I also need to make sure he feels comfortable coming to me before things get to this point again. To clear up a few things. No, he's not trying to trap me with a baby. We both want kids. It's just about timing. No, I'm not unemployed. I run a successful business and do freelance work. Just because I don't get paid on a bi-weekly schedule doesn't mean I don't make good money. Yes, the small purchases add up fast. Lunches out, spotting friends, video games, gifts for family, random Amazon orders. It all snowballed into $3,000 a month before he even realized what was happening. Moving forward, we agreed to close most of his credit cards, put his full paycheck into our joint account instead of just half, so we both have visibility on spending, and sticking to a firm budget that still gives him personal spending money. We haven't decided yet if we'll fully merge everything, but we're going to be a lot more open and accountable with each other. At the end of the day, this isn't a deal breaker for me. I love my husband and I know he loves me. We both want this to work and we're both putting in the effort to make sure it does. Thanks to everyone who gave helpful advice. Hopefully, this is the last time we ever have to have this fight. Someone said to OP on the back of this one, this isn't a deal breaker and you think you're partially to blame. Okay sis, see you back in a year. OP replies to that saying, I get why you might feel that way, but relationships aren't that simple. I know I share some responsibility here. I saw his spending and he spent a lot on me too. I just assumed he was still saving. I also know I have a temper. When I get upset, I can be harsh. That doesn't mean what he did was okay. He absolutely should have told me he was struggling with his credit cards, and he definitely shouldn't have dipped into our savings without talking to me first. But the truth is, he was afraid to communicate because he didn't want to stress me out. And that's something I have to own. My inability to control my emotions when I'm angry isn't his fault. That doesn't mean I'm just brushing this off. This isn't a deal breaker for me. But what would be is if he kept hiding things and lying. The last time we talked about this, we didn't set clear goals or come up with a real plan. That changes now. We created a budget together, and we're both walking away from this knowing what we need to work on. Marriage is hard, and walking away isn't always the answer. We had a commitment to each other, and we still love each other. This isn't a case where I think he's incapable of fixing this. I know he can. I know people expect drama, but this is real life, and we're choosing to work through it together. And there was just many other comments after this one saying that they wouldn't be able to trust him again, even if you're putting in new systems like they have in this. Talking about his generosity and how he likes to give stuff to people and there's a quality that she loves about him, but he was using their money to do all this. It's quite easy to give gifts to other people when you're using joint money or someone else's money, right? Some other comments saying that they would trust him again, but cautiously, that he's going to have to show consistency in his change. But would you want to have to focus on your partner so much so that you're watching every penny they spend? It sounds quite exhausting, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story, before we get into it, I want to give you a couple of trigger warnings of attempted child abandonment and coercive reproduction as well. This one's from the True Off My Chest subreddit from Out of the Asylum, who says, "I hate my daughter. I know this will make me seem bad and all, but above all, I really just need a place to vent. I can't talk about it with my friends or family, nor do I really want to. I'm 27, and I've had a friends with benefits situation with a guy I went to college with. Let's call him Mark. We were both young and not ready for a relationship. Then I got pregnant. I told Mark about it since I wanted to discuss our options. Abortion, adoption, or even giving him custody if he wanted to. I never wanted kids, so I'd be fine with any compromise. However, Mark didn't take it well. I remember him insisting we could make it work, especially since we were both in our last year of college. He wanted to get married and for us to be a family. I refused. He got his family involved. They called and texted me all the time, even showing up at my part-time job. I know I have no one to blame but myself, but I gave up. I had too many things going on at the time, like the loss of my mother, the stress with the rest of the family, and some stuff going on with my best friend that I won't get into. I remember feeling horrible, but I relented and agreed to keep the baby, although I still refused to get married to Mark. Now, we have a 5-year-old daughter together. I'm a mess. I never wanted kids, and although I'm trying, I can't feel any motherly love for her. What makes this worse is that she's genuinely a good kid. She doesn't throw much tantrums. She's always kind, and she doesn't expect much. I feel guilty for hating her. I feel bad all the time. I only get to have her on weekends, and Mark has her every other day. But that doesn't make me feel better. She talks about wanting to see me and her dad together, but I just can't. I screamed at her once when she drew a little picture of me and Mark holding hands. I apologized after, but I still felt so guilty. I don't know what I'm doing. I just needed to write everything down and get it off my chest. I know I'm a bad mother. I know it. But I don't know how to be better. I don't know if I want to be better. I just want to give up my parental rights, but even the thought makes me feel even worse. I'm stuck in a hell of my own making. I know I should have fought harder and probably just abort her. Damn me for being weak, I guess." So it was about 7 days after this that OP came in with an update and said some things have happened and I needed to write them down, maybe even get some insight. I called my daughter Abby for the sake of this post. I ended up telling Mark about my desire to change the custody arrangement and maybe even removing my parental rights. Many people here agreed that it's the best choice, both for me and for Abby. He didn't take it well and actually texted me about it through the week. He insisted we could work out whatever was bothering me. We agreed a while ago that texting is okay, but calls are for emergencies only. So when he called me on Friday evening and pleaded with me to come see Abby, I agreed. This is what I really need to talk about. I've seen Abby cry before, but this was something else. She had a complete meltdown, screaming and crying once I got there. She just clung to my leg and screamed at me not to leave her. Why did I want to leave her? What did she do wrong? I cried. I was honestly horrified with how badly she reacted. Mark's mum ended up telling Abby that I was planning on leaving her and she's not going to go to my house this weekend. I had to take Abby to my place sooner than expected, and Mark actually spent the night over as well. He said he's too concerned with Abby and with me to leave us alone. I'm completely lost. Even with the way I said that I want to give up my parental rights, I just can't do it now. The image of Abby crying and pleading with me not to leave is just stuck in my mind. I feel hopeless about the entire situation. Currently, I'm laying with Abby on the couch and she's watching TV. She hasn't really left my side since yesterday. I'm used to her pointing at the TV while talking about her favorite characters of whatever cartoon is on. Right now, she's just laying by my side and staying quiet. I can hear Mark moving around in the kitchen. He He called in sick to work and said he's staying here for the weekend. I have no idea what to do, and I'm sorry, but I no longer want to leave Abby. That's not an option anymore. Edit. I'd just like to edit and ask for some suggestions about online therapy. What sites do I look for that I'm sure will help me and doesn't cost too much? Mark is already looking into therapists for Abby in the area, but I'd like to ask for some individual therapy I could attend online. Maybe even suggestions for child therapists online in case Mark doesn't find anyone. So it was roughly about a month after that OP updated again and said, I'm not sure if people are still interested in what's going on here, but here it goes. Writing everything down helps me keep track of things and I want to hear people's thoughts. For anyone wondering how Abby is doing, she seems to be doing okay. She's still a little clingy with me, but she's back to her happy self. We've been observing her behavior closely and Mark decided that a therapist isn't needed. I'm not sure I agree with that, but Abby really does seem to be feeling alright. And for anyone wondering about Mark's mum, she's had no contact with Abby since what happened, though Mark has been talking with her. I've been trying to read all the comments people left on my last post. What was written about Mark got me thinking. I haven't actually mentioned it before since I didn't think it was important, but back in college we were both using protection, with me also being on birth control. I do believe the pregnancy was a genuine accident, though I became a bit paranoid after some of the things people wrote. Mark has dated some girls for the past few years as far as I'm aware. We haven't had too much contact though. We would mostly talk about Abby when we did text. Still, the past month has been more than weird for me. We've been talking more. He apologized to me a lot. I can't tell if those apologies were real or not. My best friend told me to keep Mark at arm's length, but it's been hard to do that with him coming over more often on the weekends to spend time with Abby and me. He's been inviting me to his home too, and I went a few times when Abby really begged me to. I'm trying to make sense of the situation, but it's hard. I'll be having my first therapy session tomorrow, so there's that too. Online. I guess I'm hoping for some help in the comments. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I try to answer any questions people might have for me. I know this post is probably kind of a mess. So it was roughly 3 months after that post. OP came in again and said, "Hi, I don't know if anyone's going to read this, but I've been getting some private messages with people asking about me, so I figured I could make an update. I've been going to therapy. It's been difficult. Everything was alright at first, to be honest. Me and my therapist got to grow comfortable around each other. I think she's nice. We've been talking about my issues way more recently. Safe to say it's kind of sad to realize how shitty my life has really been since the start. I've been taking my new medication for a few weeks, but I'm not sure it's making a difference. For anyone wondering, yes, Abby has been seeing a therapist for about 2 months now. I put my foot down about it for once. How weird. Abby's been happier, I think. Me and her therapist occasionally chat about her progress, and he's been giving me some tips about what Abby wants. We've been spending more time together. I have alternative weekends with her now. She's good at solving puzzles. She likes octopuses for some reason. When I walk around the house, she'd attempt to trip me by walking around my legs, like a cat, I think. It doesn't work, but she keeps trying. I'm doing the same thing with her that my mum did with me. Cooking is an important skill. For now, she gets to watch me in the kitchen and see how I prepare things. I think I'll let her start giving suggestions and start asking what the proper steps are to making a meal. We're going to wait a bit before she starts helping around. I'm sure that some people wonder what happened with Mark. Nothing, to be honest. I stopped opening the door when he came by. It hasn't really been bothering me. We only really talked about when we changed the custody arrangement a bit. We text mainly about Abby again. From what Abby says, Mark's mum's been around again. But I think she's on her best behavior around my daughter since Abby hasn't been asking any weird questions. I'm not sure what else to say. Things are fine otherwise. Maybe I'll update again if anything interesting happens or tell people how things changed. Thank you for the people that have been reaching out." Commodore says to OP, "I thought about you a lot. Really happy to see an update. I'm glad you and Abby started therapy. The best decision that could have been made. I'd like to ask, how are you feeling right now about Abby after starting to get professional help for the both of you? How is she feeling now that you can tell? Hugs OP. I wish you and her the best." OP responded to that saying my therapist explained that I don't hate Abby. Not really. I've had a lot of resentment bubbled up inside due to the circumstances and timing of her birth. I've been officially diagnosed with PPD, so that certainly didn't make things better. She encouraged me to take things slow and not feel pressured into immediately becoming an attentive and loving mother. I've been spending time with Abby now more out of my own choice and not because I didn't see any other option. It's been helping, and as far as I can tell, Abby's doing mostly alright. From what her therapist told me, she feels like my protector. She's been seeing for years that I'm sad all the time, when she was being taken care of by my best friend. I tell her I'm just having a really bad day/week. She's never really seen me truly happy, so she decided to be the hero that makes me happy. Apparently she was scared of losing me and the opportunity of making me happy when her grandma told her I was going to abandon her. Still can't wrap my head around it. The therapist has been working with her to let go of that mentality, and it seems to be going alright. The ending in this one absolutely broke my heart with Abby seeing herself as her mum's hero. You know, it just shows how incredibly perceptive children are. And I'm just super glad that that kid is in therapy of some sort, because yeah, she's definitely going to need it. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.